Today is a very important day, the Martyrs' Day, and we also had a very special program at 4 o'clock this evening at Kanyakumari. You may know that Rahul Gandhi took out a rally, Bharat Jodo Yatra, from here on September 7th at the same Gandhi Mandapam in Kanyakumari. And I am not a congressman. In fact, Congress party and I were at odds with each other when I participated in the anti-Kudangalam struggle. I was accused by the Congress party men that I was seditious, I was disloyal to India, I was hurting the development of India, and I was an American stooge, and all kinds of accusations were uh, put on me. Despite that, I think and feel that Congress party alone has the strength and uh, base to counter the fascist onslaught on this country. So when Rahul Gandhi decided to take out the yatra, I went to Delhi, participated in the planning meetings of civil society organizations, met with him, talked to him, and gave an unconditional support to that yatra. And I did some groundwork also here. I don't know if somebody is trying to say something.
വാസന്തി വാസന്തിന്റെ മൈക്ക് മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്യണം.
So I took part in that rally, and I could not really participate in the yatra from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. And to compensate for that, I started writing a letter to Rahul Gandhi every 10 days. So I compiled all those letters and put out a book, letters from Kanyakumari to Rahul Gandhi on Bharat Jodo Yatra. And we published this book this evening at Kanyakumari at the same Gandhi Mandapam where the Bharat Jodo Yatra was begun on September 7th. So we did this afternoon. And we chose this date because Bharat Jodo Yatra is completed now and with a public meeting this evening. And we also wanted to build on that symbolism. And we chose Gandhi Mandapam because that is exactly where the Bharat Jodo Yatra was begun. And today being the Martyrs' Day, we thought it would be appropriate to envision a new India as some of us are desperately trying to wriggle out of this fascist onslaught. So it is a very timely and wonderful occasion when I can share some of my thoughts with you on this important topic, the crisis of modern civilization and Gandhi. The modern civilization is, as we all know, built on a triangular relationship or a holy trinity, some a kind of a perverse holy trinity: nation statism, scientism, and developmentalism. Nation states have come to form the basis of this modern civilization. You cannot even exist on this earth without a nation state identity. Who you are is determined by your national affiliation. Our survival, well being, identity and freedom are all related to our national identity. How do we survive without a national identity, without branding ourselves as Indian or Ethiopian or Pakistani or a Mexican? We cannot survive. So nation states have become so important for our survival and our well-being. Our basic necessities are provided by the nation state. Our freedoms, our entitlements, our independence, our safety, our security, everything has come to be safeguarded by the nation state. Our identity that becomes, besides our caste identity, our religious identity, our racial identity, and many other identities, nation state identity has come to be the most important form of identity for human beings on the earth. And our freedom is guaranteed by the state and its military and its security arrangements and all that. So without nation state, this modern civilization cannot be even understood or arranged. And then scientism. Science has come to be the most predominant aspect of this triangular relationship. Of course, we also see how this science miserably fails when we have an epidemic like COVID-19 or many other aspects we can talk about. Our energy crisis, our uh, entertainment and our travel, so many other things. So science, although makes our lives a lot easy and interesting, it also proves to be futile when we talk about, say, for example, the climate destruction issue that Sir pointed out, and we also confront on a daily basis today. The science is closely related to development. We all know that. This developmentalism has become the most fundamental arrangement of this triangular relationship and of arrangement of our existence on the earth. Development, how is it understood? In terms of statistical aggregates, GDP, GNP, unemployment rate, investment, FDI, emerging power, globalization, privatization, liberalization, and all kinds of things. So this developmentalism is very much based on industrial revolution. The pre-industrial revolution societies are all considered to be barbarian, backward, underdeveloped or undeveloped, and there are so many other phraseologies to describe our backwardness, our barbaric, nomadic, undeveloped societies. Now, that's where we differ, and that's where we identify ourselves with Gandhi. Now, the whole development, we can say, drama began with the industrial revolutions. We all know that. The first industrial revolution is dated between 1760 and 1820, when mechanized textile production, steam engine, and machines were invented. The most important thing was steam engine. We all know that. Roads, canals, and railways were built during that first industrial revolution. More goods were produced, and it resulted in increased wealth, a higher standard of living, which was marked by so many consumer goods. So people in the West enjoyed better diets, housing, and good life. Good life was determined or decided by these aggregates. And those who didn't fit into this picture were considered to be backward, developing, or underdeveloped, and so forth. The second industrial revolution took place between 1870 and 1914, when many things such as air brake, telephones, electric light, and typewriters were invented. These changed our way of life. And we should talk about that, our way of life. The phrase our way of life comes from this Western civilizational understanding. Those who do not have or do not subscribe to this kind of wasteful, consumerist, hedonistic lifestyle are considered to be backward. Only if you subscribe to this kind of thinking, this set of precepts, this way of life, are you considered civilized. The third industrial revolution was marked by the invention of electricity. Electricity has become a very important part of our life today. We can't even imagine life without electricity. And the fourth industrial revolution witnessed the emergence of information technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, and so on. Now, if you sit in front of your computer and type Trivandrum Delhi flight on your phone, your computer will throw so many websites, so many commercials, advertisements of travel agents or airlines and many other related concerns. So the whole thing is so programmed that they can read what you have in your mind. They can read what you want, what you are looking for, and all that. So this kind of artificial intelligence, robotics have come to play an important role in our lives today. We are being monitored. And the Western civilization or the modern civilization has come to this point. And the ongoing fifth industrial revolution has to do with this interface between smart technologies and humans. You think, they will tell you what you think. You crave, they will deliver. You are monitored. You are manipulated. You are guided by all these technologies. You cannot live with them or without them. That has become our predicament. This modern civilization has taken us to this position, to this place now. And there are so many crises that come out of this modern civilization. To name a few, this climate change, it's not change. It's destruction. It's willful destruction of our climate. The beautiful machine that was working like a well-oiled cloth for centuries has been completely damaged and destroyed. But they don't want to acknowledge that their so-called civilization has destroyed the beautiful weather machine, beautiful climate machine. Because no evildoer, no criminal who commits a crime would ever acknowledge the fact that he or she committed that crime. So how do you make it sound like a non-crime, an ordinary thing that happened out of the blue without your participation, you name it in such a way that you absolve yourself of that sin. Climate change. In reality, it is climate destruction. Who destroyed it? This modern civilization has destroyed it. Whoever participates, whoever subscribes to, whoever believes in this way of life, our way of life, the Western way of life, the civilized way of life, is complicit in this crime. It is not an innocuous change that we are talking about. When you remove a chair from one place and put it in another place, you can call it a change. When you shift a table from this corner of the room to another corner of the room, you can call it change. But climate hasn't been changed. Climate has been destroyed by our science, by our development, by our way of life, by our hedonism, by our consumerism, by our reckless, wasteful lifestyle. Another phrase that people often use now is nature laws. Look at the innocuous way of putting things. The language becomes a very important part of this modern civilization. Nature laws. It is nature loot. It is plunder. It is dacoity. But they don't want to call it that. They call it nature laws. How was the nature lost? How did the loss happen? One powerful group plundered the natural assets of another group, another weaker group, exploited them in the name of slavery, in the name of discovery, in the name of colonialism, imperialism, and globalism. That is how we should put it. But that makes us very uncomfortable. Who wants to acknowledge that Columbus discovered America when there were human beings living there in such a beautiful harmony with nature? They may not be civilized as you and I are, but they did have a culture. They did have a civilization. They were living in harmony with nature. They identified their ancestors in every single thing of their life. A lake was their ancestor. A river was their ancestor. Mountain, hills and hillocks, sea, trees, forest, everything was their ancestor. They identified their ancestral spirits in those places. That is why they couldn't pollute. They didn't want to pollute. They didn't want to damage them because they were the abodes of their ancestors. Isn't that civilization? Isn't that a better form of civilization? I personally think so. Look at what the modern civilization did to scores of indigenous people around the world. I had a singular privilege of doing my PhD at the University of Hawaii in Hawaii, the 50th state of the United States of America. And they didn't become 50th state willfully. They were annexed. First, they were discovered by James Cook, a British man. You know, this whole concept of discovery is an uncivilized way of stealing somebody's land. Columbus discovered America. James Cook discovered Hawaii. And this kind of nonsensical discoveries. Hawaii was annexed to the United States by force, by a few corporate houses and by the US military. And people there were fighting against this colonialism. And that was the best place to study political science. And I was so happy and thrilled to study political science in that on that island nation, you know. And besides this discovery, This industrial revolution, this development, this automation, mechanization, production, profit, and when you accumulate enough wealth from that profit, you invest. And investment can go everywhere, all over the world. Globalization. Money can travel. Your investment can travel, but not the labor. People cannot travel. Globalization is only for the capital. And we see the pathetic, what, what do you call, the pathetic failure of the Adani enterprises today. What all they did. See how the corporate world tries to nurture itself by all kinds of illegal and illegitimate ways of doing things. A brother buys a company or the shares of another brother's company. They artificially enhance the importance of that company, and they try to put up a false picture for the consumers, sell their shares at an inflated rates, and they do all kinds of illegal things just to prop up, their family concern. And now we have found out what are the irregularities that took place. And when Hindenburg research report comes out, they try to hide behind nationalism. Nationalism is an integral part of the development paradigm that we have today. As I said before, our way of life, American dream. That's how they talk about in the United States. Making more money, selling anything that destroys other people's welfare, other people's beautiful, peaceful life, exploits other people's natural resources, and making money for your corporates becomes the American dream. In today's world, American dream has become global dream, human dream. If you are a human, you should have the American dream. American dream is globalized. After all, globalization is nothing but westernization. And westernization is nothing but Americanization. Americanization is nothing but monetization. Everything is seen from the monetary value of it. Making money, making profit, getting rich, having a good life. Don't worry about the cost. Don't worry about the cost, the damages it causes to nature, culture, and future. Nature, take it for granted. It's all there for us. And that attitude towards nature is completely antithetical to the understanding of nature by Red Indians, Hawaiians, and scores of indigenous people around the world. And that attitude towards nature has brought us to this climate destruction. Culture. Never mind about others. Sir was talking about the difference between culture and civilization. Culture is what you are. Civilization is what you have. And what you are. Be selfish. Be greedy. Be hedonistic. Be self-centered. Never mind about the past or the future. Mahatma Gandhi says, all we have is a loan. This is not your entitlement. This is not our right. This is a loan that we have borrowed from our children and grandchildren. You have to pay them back. And that understanding is not part of culture today. Future. This future blind attitude. Never mind about the future. Just have a good time and leave. Don't worry about what is going to happen to all the natural resources and our planet, our universe, our cosmos. Don't worry about. Now, third one is pollution. They call it blandly, simply pollution. Why don't you say industrial pollution? Pollution doesn't come much from agriculture. Of course, some people burn the leftover in Punjab and other places, and it does cause um, smoke and soot. It spoils the environment in Delhi and other northern states. We hear about that. So even agriculture has come to produce pollution these days. But pollution means industrial pollution. See, they don't want to say the complete phrase, giving the complete picture. They call it pollution. Simple, bland, innocuous, innocent, and escapist. I don't want to say, look, all these pollutions come from my reckless industrialization, my reckless automation, my reckless mechanization, the so-called industrial revolution that I was talking about. Pollution doesn't happen in this space. We make it happen. I read an article some time ago that an average human being uses almost 700 chemical products every single day of his or her life. I didn't believe that uh, exaggerated claim first. Then I sat down and looked at the various products that I use on a daily basis in my life. We start the day with a toothpaste. Look at the things that are there in the toothpaste. At least 25 different things or chemicals are there. And then you look at your soap. Look at the talcum powder that you put on your face. Look at the uh, perfume. Look at your clothes. Look at your food items. Look at the can of a food item that you buy. And go through all these things. In fact, you may use maybe more than 700 different chemicals on a daily basis. So come, we have become so used to this kind of polluting behavior. And industrial pollution, we talk about every day. We suffer from the consequences. In Tamil Nadu, we have this dyeing industry. So many rivers have been irrevocably, irreparably polluted by the influence, by the effluence from these dyeing units. Look at what our nuclear industry, nuclear reactors are doing, dumping all the radioactive stuff and other waste into the sea. And look at the effluence from all different industrial units. Look at the special economic zones, the industrial corridors that are coming up all over the country, all over the world now. Militarization, making weapons, building military hardware, and all the consumer items, and all these industrial goods. Pollution is not happening up in vacuum. We make that pollution happen by our reckless way of life. So these are some of the issues or crises of modern civilization. Urbanization, militarization, so many other things, such as, for example, um, commercialization. Everything is commercial these days, excluding the parental love. To be even more precise, mother's love or father's love. Everything can be bought and sold. It's monetization of life. Money value, putting money value on it. That is why they say that they cannot allow us to use water as a free commodity anymore. Water is becoming more and more precious. And for you and I to understand the preciousness of water, they have to put a monetary value on it. So a private company, a corporate company is handed over all our water resources and they connect you through pipes and put a meter there. And you have to buy water from them on a daily basis. That is why Bolivian women found out that they were spending almost 70% of their meager income on buying water. And they said, look, enough is enough. We cannot live with this arrangement anymore. They took to the street, fought against the British company, and drove them away. Mountains have become quarries for big corporates and big powerful politicians. Our rivers have become sand quarries. Our coasts have become quarries for minerals, rare earths, ilmenite, siliconite, garnet, monazite, and so many other things. Everything is money, my friends, and money for corporate houses. Nature is not for us to enjoy and to hand over to our following generations. It's all money. They see everything in terms of money. So, not only monetization, militarization, increasing militarization of our society. Because when there is so much money lying around all over, on your hills and hillocks, on your rivers, lakes, and everywhere, that resources have to be carefully monitored and owned and utilized by the appropriate people. Who are the appropriate people? Adanis for Modi, Ambanis, Anil Agarwals, the chosen few who could in turn finance your elections, buy electoral bonds, and hand you a lot of money. And without money, you cannot possibly participate in public life anymore. Even if you want to get elected to your local municipality, you need at least 50 lakhs rupees. So money becomes the most essential part of our democracy, our republic. Without money, you can't participate in public life. Where does the money come from? Money comes from corporate houses. Where do the corporates get their money? From looting the nature, our common nature, by polluting our natural resources, by making us all sick, making us all useless, less fecund, less productive, maybe even unproductive. And that is why we have so many fertility centers these days. Getting pregnant should happen so easily, so spontaneously, so normally, so peacefully, so happily. We cannot get pregnant anymore. We need to have fertility clinics. It's a big business. Everything is a business. If you are not sick, if you are healthy, you are happy, you lead a very simple, frugal life, you are not part of the system. Actually, you are undermining the system. You are not a productive citizen of this globalized world. You are not consumeristic. You are not commercially viable. And that is why, Mahatma Gandhi, I need to turn to his 1908 book, Hind Swaraj. I am sure all of us here have read that book, not once, not twice, many times. I have read that book so many times in my life. I have never read Bhagavad Gita or Bible or Quran. For me, the Hind Swaraj is the book to understand life on the earth, my role on the earth, to understand nature, culture, and future, my politics, my value system. The book was written in 1908 when Gandhiji was returning on a voyage from London. It was published serially in Indian Opinion, and the methodology is like Bhagavad Gita, where there is a conversation, samvad between Krishna and Arjuna. So he uses the reader edited dialogue. Dialogue, see, that methodology itself is a beautiful thing. It's not a monologue. Today, we are asked to follow this authoritarian monologue. Look, big brother knows best. Father knows best. The state knows best. The state decides. You bloody bunch of fishermen, farmers, weavers, workers, women, youth, what kind of knowledge do you have? What kind of understanding you have about science and development? We know that. The state knows that. If you oppose a nuclear power project that the state proposes, you become an American stooge. You become a betrayer. You become seditious. You are a Maoist. You are an urban Naxal. You are a Tamil tiger. You are a Pakistani agent. You are a Chinese handmaiden. All kinds of these things they come up with. You do not have the mental faculty to think for yourself. You cannot take a decision. You don't know what is good or bad for you. We know. Father knows best. Who is the father? The state, the all-encompassing, the all-powerful, the all-knowing state. Whoever has power of that state becomes our Messiah. You cannot question them. You cannot challenge them. They cannot accept dissension, opposition. That is the modern civilizational arrangement that we are facing today. Instead of that authoritarian monologue, Gandhi comes up with a dialogue, reader and the editor. It's a wonderful way of communicating because there is a lot of listening involved. In a monologue, there is no room for listening. You only follow the diktat, the direction of the speaker. You have no say in it. You are not a participant. There is no democracy. There is no equality. There is no transaction. There is no exchange. It's a one-way communication. Whereas in a dialogue, it is happening between two equal partners. Both partners have expertise. Both of you have decided or undertaken to listen to each other and weigh the merits and demerits of each one's arguments. Samvada. It's not vada. It's not vidandavada. It's samvada, equal, truth sharing, truth seeking. And Gandhi comes up with that wonderful tool of dialogue. And he says, that talking of Hind Swaraj, Gandhi says, The booklet is a severe condemnation of modern civilization. And that's the reason I like that book. It was written in 1908. My conviction is deeper today than ever. If you read, if we all sit around and read that book today, after 115 years, the book is ever more relevant than our Bhagavad Gita, Bible, and Quran, and all the rest of them. Actually, many of these books are anachronistic. They don't even make any sense to us anymore. To tell you the truth, it's my personal point of view. They don't make interesting reading in the first place, and they don't have anything useful for our modern life. But this book, this 115-year-old book, this little book, this small book, this is a dialogue, a conversation between two human beings, makes a lot more sense. And Gandhi says, my conviction is deeper today than ever. I feel that if India will discard modern civilization, she can only gain by doing so. When somebody asked what he thought of Western civilization, this shrewd man said, it's a wonderful, what exactly did he say? I think it would be a good idea. Nobody else will have this brevity and this good sense of humor. I think, this is what he said, I think it would be a good idea. Meaning, this Western arrangement is not civilization. And civilization has nothing to do with this Western way of doing things. He says, I feel that if India will discard modern civilization, she can only gain by doing so. But I would warn the reader against thinking that I'm sorry, I have glaring problem. But I would warn the reader against thinking that I am today aiming at the Swaraj described therein. I know that India is not ripe for it. I am individually working for the self-rule pictured therein. But today, my corporate activity is undoubtedly devoted to the attainment of parliamentary Swaraj in accordance with the wishes of the people of India. He was only more concerned about gaining our independence and all that. Now, he says, talking about independence, you have drawn the picture well. In effect, it means this, that we want English rule without the Englishman. That's what exactly we are doing in this globalized arrangement. We want English rule without the Englishman. You want the tiger's nature, but not the tiger. This is to say, you would make India English. This is not the Swaraj I want. In other words, following mindlessly the British parliamentary system, the British development model, the British way of doing things is not exactly what Gandhi had envisaged for his country. It is Swaraj when we learn to rule ourselves. How do we learn rule ourselves? But such Swaraj has to be experienced by each one for himself. Now you can see that it is not necessary for us to have as our goal the expulsion of the English. The English don't have to be expelled. They can very well be here with us. If the English become Indianized, we can accommodate them. If they wish to remain in India along with their civilization, there is no room for them. It's not that we don't want the British. We don't want their civilization. Our problem is not with the British or Americans or anyone else for that matter. Our problem is with their so-called modern civilization. By Indianized, Gandhi meant becoming Indian not in the cultural sense, but in the civilizational sense. He says, civilization in the real sense of the term consists not in the multiplication, but in the deliberate and voluntary restriction of wants. We say these days, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. The first thing is refuse. There are so many things we don't really need. But that goes against the civilizational ethos of the modern civilization. You cannot refuse. If you refuse, you are not a consumer. If you are not a consumer, you are totally useless for our modern civilization. So Gandhi says, he doesn't believe in the multiplication of so many things, consumerism and hedonism. He says in the deliberate, voluntary restriction of wants. This alone promotes real happiness and contentment and increases the capacity for service. If we start running after things, if we start chasing the worldly pleasures, you cannot be participating in public life. And those who are participating in public life go to the extent of killing. BBC documentary part 1 and 2 clearly show we are ready to kill for power. We are ready to kill in thousands for power. We are ready to commit a genocide. We have just suffered one in Sri Lanka just a few years ago. Ready to kill for power, ready to kill to subdue fellow human beings, ready to kill to promote our preeminence, our importance, our hold on power, our imperialism. Gandhi says, I bear no enmity towards the British, but I do towards their civilization, Western civilization, industrial revolution, or modern civilization, our way of life, American dream. You can replace these phrases with anything that you want. But the idea, the message is very simple and clear and loud. I would repeat, I bear no enmity towards the English. In the place of English, put Americans if you want. Put the West if you want. Put the North if you want. Because the world today has been divided into North and South, industrial, Christian, civilized North, agricultural, non-white, underdeveloped or developing. Look at those words. Developing country. They are developed country. Developed means they are full, they are mature, they are complete, they are holistic, they are whole. They have become one. Developing country. You are only getting there. You are not developed yet. Look at the language is very important, as I pointed out in the beginning. You know, with these words, the language colonizes our minds. The language tells you day in and day out. It prepares your mind. It makes you think along those lines. They make you think like they do. Colonial language, colonial mindset, colonial viewpoint, colonial cosmology has been put into your mind that the hardware is colonial. And how do we get rid of that hardware? That is a trick. And that's why Gandhi says here, I bear no enmity towards the English. I do towards their civilization. Now, no one else can give this kind of testimony. At least I haven't come across any document or treatise or book or report or you name it, judging the modern civilization. Ned Ludd in Britain thought about that. And that's why we those who don't like the mechanization, we call them Luddite. You know, Ludd, Ludd, Ned Ludd, Luddite. There was a man called Unabomber in the United States some 20, no, some 30 years ago. This man was a mathematics professor who was hiding himself in a jungle and sending letter bombs to people and hurting and even killing people indiscriminately just to make a point, just to get his point across. Eventually, he was tracked down, arrested, and his bargain was this. The deal he wanted was this: the leading newspapers in the United States should publish his manifesto, Unabomber. And the Unabomber manifesto was printed by even papers like the New York Times, Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times and other newspapers. The best and the most popular, prominent newspapers in the United States published his Unabomber manifesto. I read that Unabomber manifesto with a lot of interest. Now, that man was taking a clear stand against this so-called Western civilization or this modern civilization. But unfortunately, his scheme was incomplete, haphazard, broken, had no basis, had no clear understanding of things, cannot be compared with Hind Swaraj at all in any meaningful manner. You may be able to download that Unabomber manifesto on the internet. Please, if you get a chance, download it, take a look at it, and you will definitely subscribe to my thinking. Hind Swaraj is by far the best judgment on this modern civilization. Nobody else has come even close to understand, to explain the current predicament that we are faced with. And no other document, no other scheme, no other thinker has even come close to show us the way out of this quandary. What is this modern civilization says? We need to be you need to be fast, big, and powerful. I think this, for lack of a better phraseology, I would like to use the Holy Trinity. Please don't take offense. I don't mean to offend anybody's religious sentiments. But this holy three things for the modern contemporary civilizational thinkers, this is the Holy Trinity: the oil, steel, and cement. What does oil signify? It signifies speed. The more oil you use, the faster your engine works and the faster you go. Speed. Steel is used to build large and huge and mega things. It shows super size. Cement. Cement is the symbol of strength. Now, the whole scheme is based on speed. You know that. The faster you are in colonizing, that's what they did. The British, the French, the Dutch, now they go fast into their respective colonies, try to occupy as much land as possible, try to subdue as many people as possible, try to steal as much as possible, usurp natural endowments, spices, and other things as fast as possible. So the faster you are in colonizing, dominating, cheating, or putting down the other, the greater you will be. Colonialism is all about that. So, hit fast is the first principle of this modern civilization. Hit fast, even before your opponent gathers strength, wakes up, understands the situation, tries to muster his energies. Hit fast. The second principle is, of course, hit big. The northern civilization likes everything big: factories, corporations, markets, profits, cities, roadways, everything else. The bigger your endowment, the happier you are. You want something big, bigger the better. When Adani becomes number one, the richest man on the earth, we could have celebrated with the nationalistic pride. That was their dream. That was their plan. Make an Indian the richest man on the earth. Then they can show 140 crore people that look at our achievement. We, in our last 10 years of rule, we have made an Indian the richest man on the earth. We have become so proud. We are so confident now. We are so happy now. So we are so nationalistic. We have accomplished. And what does that damn thing mean to anybody in this country? Absolutely zero. Nothing. Will poverty vanish overnight? No. Will hunger disappear overnight? No. Will the misery completely go away from us? No. But this narrow nationalistic fervor will intoxicate you that, look, one of us has become the richest man on the earth. So they were trying for that kind of drug to administer on us, that hyper nationalism. You and I would completely forget about our miseries, our poverty, our hunger, our underdevelopment, our misery, and our pathetic daily life. But we would be happy that one of us, Adani, becomes the richest man on the earth. Unfortunately, it blew up on their face now. So hit big, build everything big. And all these big things are propped up. Look at all these, the corporate history. You look at the histories of all these corporate houses. You can see how they create an artificial need, how they use war to boost their strength. Gulf War, as we all know, was a very entrepreneurial achievement. So many companies made billions of dollars because of that Gulf War. War means money. War means profit for corporates. Weapons mean money. Weapons not only mean power, weapons also mean profit. So you build something big and the more powerful you will get. So hit big. And if you don't feel good about being fast and big and strong, you mean you are slow, small, and soft. You are slow. You are underdeveloped. You have some kind of a Down syndrome. You are slow. You are not quick. You are not fast. You are slow. A third world fellow from an underdeveloped society. You take it so easy. You are not entrepreneurial. You are not competitive. You are not a cutthroat. You are not getting rich. You are not getting famous. You are not enjoying life. You are a dullard. You are a slow person. And you are small. Small things cannot withstand the pressures of modern civilization. Small things will disappear. Small things may be beautiful for Schumacher and you and I, but small cannot stand in this high and fast life on this supercomputer highway. Small things cannot stand. And soft, you are soft like a feminine. You are soft. You are so vulnerable. You are weak. Softness has no place in this modern civilization. You have to be strong, macho, Machiavellian, Rambo. And that is why even our compassionate Ram becomes so macho. You don't worship Ram Lala, the baby Ram. You only worship the male, virile, macho Ram. A soft God is useless. Only a masculine, macho God is good for our hyper nationalism. So, my friends, don't be slow, small, and soft. That is anti civilizational thinking.
Sir, the time is almost 10 o'clock. So
I
please
think I should stop.
conclude the presentation. Please.
Okay. Okay. So, this is what I wanted to share. Modern civilization has come to a breakup point with our climate destruction, the indiscriminate loot, plunder of nature, and heavy industrial pollution, where most people cannot breathe easy. Even in our own national capital, people cannot breathe a clean, fresh air. That is where the modern civilization has brought us to. So Gandhi is the only answer. I am not exaggerating. I am not overstating. I am not trying to make Gandhi larger than life an entity. Gandhi's understanding, Gandhi's take, Gandhi's viewpoint is the only way to understand this modern civilization, get a hold on it, and to think about a way out. I would stop here. Thank you. I'm sorry.